Hi friends! So today I'm going to jump right in and we're going to be talking about how a next step can help you say no. And I don't know about you, but I have a hard time saying no to things. And a next step has helped me in two ways. So the first way is saying no to things that aren't part of my next step. Being able to look at something and realize that this is not what I'm shooting for. This isn't helping me in growing and maturing in this area that I need to grow and mature in. And even maybe recognizing that it's going to take me away from being able to do that, right? I only have so much time that I can dedicate to that next step. And this other thing, no matter how great it is or how cool it is or how helpful it might be to somebody else, is actually not going to help me reach that next step. There is some reflection that needs to go into this because you may not have identified how that thing could help you with your next step. So I know some people are really prone to being able to rationalize and justify things. So this may not apply to you if you fall into that category. But sometimes the opportunity that comes up is just not expected. It's not at all what we were looking for. You know, we thought we were supposed to be working on this next step. And this thing comes into our life. And a lot of times these are things that we can't avoid. They're things that we can't say no to. And they come along and we are thinking, how is that helping me get to my next step? That is actually a distraction. It's not helpful, but God's brought it along because it's actually a way to get us to that next level of maturity that we couldn't have created for ourselves. It's something that a situation that God's putting in front of us, and we just need to reflect and see how we can actually grow in whatever area that is through this situation, this trial that's come up. So those are the situations that we're talking about. When God puts something in front of you, oftentimes you don't get to say no to it. And you need to ask Him for His help and His strength to get through it. What we're talking about right now are those things that come up that are opportunities that could actually be classified as distractions. Things that are, hey, wow, I could do this thing. I could take this class. I could join my friends. I could help out this organization. But you don't have to, and it is going to take up time and energy and your thoughts that could lead or distract you from your actual next step. So having that next step, knowing what it is, can actually help you say no to those distractions. The thing I want to focus on today is when your next step actually is saying no. And this one is really hard for me, but having that next step, right, growing in maturity means that you're going to know how to say no to things. And not just the distractions, but when the next step is actively working on saying no. So I'm gonna give you an example here. May or may not relate to you, but there was a point in our marriage where things were really difficult with my husband. And for the previous 3, 4, and 5 years of our marriage, I had tried everything. Tried talking to him about it, cajoling, manipulating, from good to bad. I tried it all to get him to one to work on our relationship and to understand where I was coming from. So, and there were certain things that he would objectively agree that he needed to work on. As a husband, he had these responsibilities and he could see that, right? He could even write a book on how this was the responsibility of a husband, a Christian husband, but then in his own life wasn't practicing them. And I think as women, it's very easy for us to find the thing and want to fix it in our spouses. But by the time at the point that I'm talking about, he was also a father, and I was seeing a lot of those same behaviors in the way that he was treating our kids. And since we have girls, the way that they see their father is potentially how they will view a future husband. And I really did not want them to think that this type of behavior is what they wanted in a godly husband. So begged him, showed him, tried to talk to him about it, and would get responses like, well, name 7. And that's now a joke with us at this point. But at the time it was really difficult because, unless I could give 7 examples of how this happened, he didn't want to listen. And it finally got to a point where I'm broken and praying about this and thinking, God, I know that you want us to thrive. I know that you want us to grow up in maturity. My husband's the one teaching me these things, but he is not growing himself. What am I supposed to do? And it wasn't an audible voice, but there was this sense that I was just supposed to be quiet. And my next step was actually saying no. No to myself, no to my desire to dialogue, to work with him, to teach, to, all those things, being a teacher at heart and being the type of person that loves personal growth and development. It was really hard to say no to myself. And sometimes that is the next step, is that as we're maturing, right, we're growing in self-control, in self-discipline, and we need to know how to say no to ourselves. And that can be really difficult to identify, because when we think of maturity, we think about the shoulds. I should be better at, and I ought to be able to. But we don't always look at it as being more self-restrained, having the maturity to say no to ourselves. So this was a really great opportunity for me. And over the next 30 days, anytime I wanted to say something like, see, you're doing it again, or why do you have to talk to me like that? I just said no to myself. I was silent and I didn't say anything, and would just pray about it. And God put on my heart to do that for 30 days, and then it kept going, 30 more days. And it wasn't until a few months later when God totally changed my husband's heart. There was just this brokenness, and I couldn't claim any credit because I hadn't done anything. But I do think it was in response to my maturity, to my growth, and that my husband could see that as I was being silent and as I wasn't pushing him to change, I was actually growing up myself. And so it was a really great lesson for both of us, and it was a really encouraging moment for me, because I know that when you're obeying God and you're trusting Him and you're doing what He has planned for you, He will bless you, right? And you'll see the fruit of that. But I really didn't think that He could take care of the situation, which sounds silly to say, but I really thought I need to be the one. I'm the wife. I'm the helpmeet. I need to be the one to show him these things because we're the closest. But it was God saying, no, you work on your things, and then I will take care of him, and I will show him what he needs to know. So since then, it's been great, and there's been fruit. There's no looking back beyond that point, because both of us are so thankful for the relationship that we have now. But it was one of those times where I realized that sometimes the next step is saying no to yourself. And obviously that helps you to say no to others, and to say no to those distractions and other opportunities, because if you can say no to yourself, it's a lot easier to say no to other people. But I think for all of us, we need to assess in our lives the areas where we don't have self-control or self-discipline. My dad used to love saying that if you can't control yourself, you will be controlled. So you'll either be controlled by the thing, by an addiction, by the circumstance, by your emotions, or you'll be controlled by other people. They will take advantage of the fact that you have no self-control. And that has stuck, and it's something that we say to our kids, but I think it's really true. And part of being more mature is having more self-control. So hopefully this is encouragement to you. Maybe this is an area that you weren't looking for as a next step, but you can start to see it as you sit down with your life and see those areas where you need to say no as your next step. And I hope that's encouraging. If you have any questions, you can leave your comments below. I'd love to hear from you.